Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is Time FK7, and today we're going to be doing a special kind of video. I've been getting some requests on making a video on how to drive manual transmission car or stick shift. So this is what we're going to be doing today. And before we get started, I just want to show you guys some clips of me when I first started driving. Believe it or not, this was my very first stick shift car. So I was stalling. Of course, I was still learning, and stalling is normal. You just have to practice because practice makes perfect. We've all been there before. The first time you're doing something, you don't know what the hell you're doing, and as you practice more, you'll perfect it. So let me just show you some clips of when I first got this car.
Make sure you're really clutch the focus. That's the one that's a little hard.
Yeah. Alright, come on, fifth gear, treat me well. Clutch in and...
Oh shit, you got
Oh
it!
shit!
You got it!
I did it!
You made it seem like, oh, you scared me for a bit. I was like, shit. Oh yeah, but other than that, oh, you stalled.
So, you're probably wondering what this is. I accidentally bumped my head on something really hard, and it gave me a cut. So, yeah, I want to put a band-aid on it, but I don't know, whatever. Anyways, long story short, it only took me 15 minutes to learn. All it really is just learning where the sweet spot is and learning how to dance with the throttle and the clutch properly. That's all you really need, like just an empty parking spot, just like this one, with plenty of space, no cars, and a hill. Because if you go over here, there's a big hill where you can practice. Plenty of road right here. You can go from first gear to third gear and downshift to the second gear over there and work your way around over here. So obviously the car that we're gonna be using is the Honda Civic Type R, and you can pretty much get a manual transmission car either from your friends, or you can borrow a rental car if they offer a manual transmission. But there's 3 pedals in this car compared to the 2 pedals that you'd get on a automatic transmission. Obviously, this being a manual transmission car, you're going to get a clutch, and that right there, which is the shifter that has 6 gears, and the reverse. So the 3 pedals, this is the 3 pedals. That's the clutch right there, the brakes, and then your throttle. And what's important to master is the clutch and the throttle. Once you master the clutch and the throttle, then you're gonna get a hang of driving a manual transmission car. Because without mastering how to dance with the clutch and the throttle, then you're gonna be stalling everywhere, which is normal because everybody stalls if they're driving a stick shift car for the first time. So don't be afraid if you stall at a light or a stop sign, because that happens to everybody. But like I said, practice makes perfect. You guys don't even know how many times I stalled driving this car for the very first time. The one advice that I could give you guys is don't be afraid, just do it. Because like practice makes perfect, and you're not going to perfect it if you're not going to practice it. You're never going to learn how to drive a manual transmission car if you're not willing to actually practice how to do it. You can do this by yourself, but it's better if you have a buddy that knows how, so that he can give you some pointers. But like I said, everybody is different, and me personally, I found it to be super easy. So yeah, just practice, and eventually you'll get better and you'll perfect it. Now, this video, I'm obviously not an expert. Like I said, this being my first official manual transmission car, I'm not going to know how to do heel and toe shifting and, you know, all that other fancy stuff. I'm just going to be teaching you guys the basics of how to drive a manual transmission car, how to move up a hill and how to start it, how to shift. That's what I'm going to be teaching you guys. None of that fancy stuff. But yeah, let's get to it. Alright guys, so we are inside of the car, and I'll just close the door, excuse the mess. I got my camera gear all over the place, but we're basically inside of the car, and the way that you start the car is, I'll just put my seatbelt on first so that it won't ring. So in order for us to start the car, we're gonna make sure that the e-brake is turned on. And it's better to have it on neutral, otherwise if you're in first gear and accidentally let off the clutch, then the car will stall. In order for us to start the car, you just have to press on the brake, press the clutch all the way in, just like that, and then you're gonna hit the start button. And then the car will start. That, by the way, was my dash cam. I forgot what this was called. So this is a Nexar Pro dash cam, and like it has a camera facing the outside and then a camera facing the inside. So it's really convenient, just so that, you know, I have proof if ever I get into an accident that whatever, who's at fault. So anyways, so the basics of learning how to drive a manual transmission car is basically learning where the sweet spot is, like being able to work with the clutch and the throttle. It's like you're dancing. You gotta have a bond between the two, the throttle and the clutch, because without you knowing how to dance with the pedals, you're not gonna be able to do this. So to perfect that, obviously you just have to practice, because practice makes perfect. As you can see, the car is already turned on. Step on the clutch all the way in and just have a feel of the gears. So this is second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, and sixth gear, okay? And then this is reverse, all the way to the right and down. So that's reverse. Back to neutral. Neutral is like, this is the point where the shifter naturally rests. So if I were to just like go in first gear and then I just like flick it down, this is neutral, okay? So, and then you're gonna feel it, because like it always goes back to its center position, whatever gear you're in. So if I were in reverse, if I were to flick this up, it just goes back in the center. So that's neutral. In order for us to start, make sure your foot's on the brake, the e-brake is turned off, press the clutch all the way in, and shift to first gear. So as you can see, my foot is still on the brake and the clutch is still pressed in all the way. And we're just gonna let off the brake, make sure that your foot is still rested, and in order for us to start moving, just lightly let off the clutch until the car moves. So now that the car is moving, this is your sweet spot. And just go around the parking lot, you know, just drive around with just your foot on the clutch, with just your foot on the sweet spot. And to find the sweet spot, you're really just gonna listen to the RPM. So if I'm letting go of the clutch slowly, you see how the RPM's kind of changed? Okay, see? And if I push the clutch in all the way, the RPM goes back to 1. So let's do that again. Okay, let off the brake and just slowly take your foot off the clutch. See that? So that's how you determine where the sweet spot is. Same thing for reverse. You see how the car almost died? So that is actually when your car is about to stall. So when your car is about to stall, you're gonna wanna push the clutch in or apply throttle so that you don't stall, okay? So once you get used to finding the sweet spot, then you can apply some throttle, just like that. So now my foot is just resting on the throttle. My foot is off the clutch, because once you reach like a super low speed, then you're gonna start to stall, and like you don't want that to happen, okay? So just keep on pressing the throttle. All right, so now that you have a feel for the car, we can now shift to second gear. To shift in second gear, let go of the throttle, press on the clutch, shift to second gear, and then find the sweet spot again, press on the throttle lightly, now you shifted to second gear. This is what's gonna happen if your car stalls. I'm gonna simulate that. Put the first gear and just let off the clutch. The car will stall. And it's fine, it happens to everybody. Like, you saw that big jolt. Because if you let off the clutch too fast, that's what's gonna happen. So another important thing to learn is actually trying to drive on a hill, especially in a manual transmission car. And you want to practice this at a empty parking lot. So right now this is a hill. You guys can't really tell from the camera angle, but this is a pretty steep hill. It's really important to practice going up the hill and like starting the car up the hill, because this is, you know, this is a real life scenario. And what if you live in a hilly environment, or if you're at a stoplight and there's like a big hill, okay? You don't want to stall and like crash into the car that's behind you. So you're gonna need to practice driving up a hill. And you want to practice how to start the car and how to get the car to move up a hill. So what we're gonna do is basically the same thing that we did with having the car on a regular flat road. We're basically gonna do the same thing, except we're gonna be pressing on the brake a lot more, and we're gonna be using more throttle once we start moving up the hill. Because once you let go of the brake and apply throttle, then the hill brake assist will automatically turn off, and your car is gonna start moving backwards. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the car again, press the brake in and the clutch, make sure the car is in neutral, have the e-brake on, press the start button. Okay. So now that the car is on, you gotta turn off the e-brake, press the clutch all the way in, and then you're gonna put the car in first gear. Make sure that your foot is still on the brake. Okay, and then you're gonna find the sweet spot like we practiced earlier. And then once you're in the sweet spot, you're slowly gonna let off the brake, and the car's not gonna move, okay? So you're gonna see how the car is kind of moving backward. Okay, you're gonna want to apply some throttle. Okay, not too much. So you see, this is the sweet spot. You see how we're moving back and forth? Okay? And like, don't do this at a light because this is bad for your clutch. So again, you're gonna wanna practice finding out where the sweet spot of this car is. That's like the most important thing when learning how to drive a manual transmission car. Because without experience, without practice, getting the sweet spot, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. And you're just gonna keep stalling and stalling and stalling, which is good, you know, like as a first time manual transmission driver, you will stall, but you just have to get you just have to have practice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up the hill now. We're applying some throttle, and now we're moving. We're gonna shift. All right.
Driver's seatbelt.
So we're gonna go back up this hill so I can show you guys again. I believe this is lined up with this camera. All right, so we're practicing on a hill. Of course, we're gonna roll back even when we're in neutral. So you see how we're rolling back? So that's why it's important to keep your foot on the brake. Okay, so let's go back in frame. Hopefully we're in frame there. All right, and we're gonna go up the hill now. So again, like earlier, press on the clutch, and this is what's gonna happen if you don't apply throttle, okay? Even if you know where the sweet spot is, this is what's gonna happen. You're just gonna roll back, obviously. But there you go. That's what's gonna happen. And you could either crash into the car that's behind you, or you know, crash somewhere else. So again, just keep practicing, going up the hill, and just, you know, whenever you're rolling backwards, just stop and try to find your sweet spot again. Go up the hill a little bit, okay, and then stop again, and then try to find the sweet spot once more. Just keep on doing it over and over again until you get used to it, because again, practice makes perfect. So okay, so now that we perfected the hill driving and learning how to shift properly, okay, so now we're gonna practice how to stop and like how to downshift gears. So the auto rev matching, it's only gonna work at a certain RPM. So if you're above 2000 RPM, then it's gonna auto rev match for you. Whereas if you're below 2000 RPM, then it's not gonna auto rev match for you. And like when you try to shift down and you let off the clutch, you're just gonna jolt forward, and it feels weird. But you're not gonna stall or anything, but it just makes the car jolt forward, and like it just makes your passengers uncomfortable, because you're like, you know, you're slowing down, and then all of a sudden they're gonna go like that. So yeah, make sure when you're downshifting, it's above 2000 RPM on your 10th gen Civics. Now, the heel and toe shifting thing, I haven't even learned yet because I'm still considered a newbie. So now we're gonna go on a regular drive. I usually shift around 3000 to 4000 RPM to shift up. And then when I'm shifting down, I usually wait about when the car hits about 2500 RPM. That's when I shift down. Now, I don't know how to do heel and toe shifting, so that's something that I need to work on. But with this car having automatic rev matching, then you're not gonna have a problem. Except you'd have to be above 2000 RPM in order for that auto rev matching to work. So we're gonna go ahead, go for a drive. And so another thing that I want to show you guys, your first gear, your foot is on the clutch, you press on the throttle. You're not going to go anywhere unless you take your foot off and go in the sweet spot and then hit the throttle, then you're going to go somewhere. Okay, so we're going to go on a normal drive. Notice I put the car on neutral. That's because you don't want to have your foot rested on the clutch while you're at a stoplight, because that does wear down your clutch. when you're shifting, you don't want to rest your hand on the shifter because you don't want to put pressure on your shifter because that's going to wear things down as well. So as you can see, we're at a stoplight and I put the car in neutral. That way we're not pressing on the clutch. But when you're at the stoplight, you can, since you're a noob, you can always rock back and forth, even though it's not suggested that you do it because again, you're going to wear off the clutch, but it's good practice. So when I first started driving, I put my hand right here and that's where the sweet spot usually is. So that kind of worked out for me. So the clutch might be different from car to car. Obviously this having a lighter clutch, I can place my hand in order to determine where the sweet spot is. Okay, so when you're parking the vehicle, you want to put it on neutral, and obviously you want to put the e-brake on. And what other people do is when they turn off the car, they actually put it on first gear, just in case the e-brake fails. That way you have something to back you up. So that's what I kind of do. I usually put the e-brake on and leave it in first gear. That way this car won't move. It's time for subscriber builds. Will I show off your builds on my channel? And our first build for today is... Our first build for today is from Angel Soto, and he says, "Hey Chris, I like your YouTube channel and this is my FK7. The next mod is going to be the Type R wing and the Mishimoto intercooler." Our second build is from Linda Tran, and she says, "Mods a front lip splitter, canards, diffuser, and a side skirt. All are from Aeroflow Dynamics. Wheels from ESR wheels, muffler delete, and a resonator delete. Duckbill from a fellow Honda owner. Heart emoji. Car is also lowered on BC coilovers. Sent from my iPhone." If you want your build to be featured on my upcoming videos, send me an email at christimefk7@gmail.com so that your build can be featured on the channel. Back to the video. So the reason why I don't really clean the car that much anymore is because it's the fall season here in Pennsylvania, and it's always raining, and every time I do get a chance to clean the car, it always, the very next day or in a couple of days, it always gets dirty. I do have the last fit mats. I don't really bother cleaning the floor, but yeah, the interior is a mess. But like I said, I don't really have that much time to clean because every time I do clean, it just gets all messed up because it rains a lot and of the leaves that are falling, so that's kind of bringing in some dirt into the car. So yeah. Anyways guys, I hope you learned something new today, and I hope I made it as clear as I possibly can. I know it's a lot to sink in, but like I said so many times in the video, it just takes practice, and don't be afraid because if you're living off fear and you're not going to even try it at least, then you're obviously not going to learn. So I suck at giving advice. Anyways guys, I hope you learned something new in this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, and if you're not a subscriber to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button because I do post every week, and then I'm gonna throw in a live stream here and there where you guys can join, and that's how I'll interact with you guys. But yeah, hopefully this video was clear enough. Thank you all for watching. This is Time FK7, and peace out.